Broadcasting live from the Vegas Video Network studios, just steps from the Las Vegas Strip, it's Talktails! And now our host, she's our very own kaleidoscope of talent. What? It's Kelly Clinton!
To Talktails on the Vegas Video Network. I am your host, the kaleidoscope of talent. My name is Kelly Clinton-Holmes. Thank you very much for joining us today. We have a great show planned for you. We have our guest today is one of the greatest character actors of our time. He's a true thespian. He has been in television, movies, theater, and I just found out radio as well. You might know him from one of his breakout roles on television from a show in the 1970s. And remember the 1900s? I do. I certainly do. Anyway, and this is one of my favorite shows, by the way. The show was Starsky and Hutch. He was not Starsky. He was not Hutch. But he was Huggy Bear. We have, yes! His real name? He is actor Antonio Fargas. He's here today. Yes! But before you meet Antonio, I want you to meet a couple of other people. We have our Talktails Orchestra. This is Kenny Davidson right there. Beautiful, Kenny, beautiful. You sound like 5 people, or well, more like 1 person. You're wonderful. Thank you. You are our music. I also want to say hello to our producer, director, Mr. Scott Whitney. Are you there, Scott?
I am there. I will say that director, maybe, I gave a direction to the Talktail Orchestra today.
Yes, you did.
And the direction was not followed. So I'm having a little bit of Jack Daniels honey and not being listened to. It's a great show.
No, I think he was a little uncomfortable, right, Kenny, with saying, I love you, and my name is Kenny Davidson.
Well, that wasn't the exact direction.
Well, I don't know, Kenny. No, Kenny's that's out of his comfort zone.
It's out of my league.
Yeah, no, but we'll figure out something soon. So, Scott, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. And you, Kelly?
I'm great. I'm great. Do you want to hear about my week?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Is this thing on?
I thought I would do the pregnant pause just to make a little, add a little pressure. But yes, I would like to hear about your week.
It was just like home with my husband. Hello? Hello?
I don't think I sing as well.
Well, anyway, we were just in New York. Clint is still there. He'll be back tomorrow afternoon. But he performed at the Cafe Carlisle again.
Yeah.
And they filmed a DVD of his show. But we had some other exciting times. That was a great night. And one thing that happened to Clint was we were in the tea room at the Carlisle. And actually, he called me and he said, Kelly, when you come in, he says, come down the steps and look to your left. We're to the right, but look to your left. I said, oh my goodness, who is it? Just look to your left. I come down the stairs. And there's Paul Simon.
What?
The show Clint's doing is Cole Porter and the music of Cole Porter and Paul Simon. And there was Paul Simon. Okay, 2 days later, I'm going to say this really quick because we don't have a lot of time, but we are at Joe Allen's, another restaurant in New York, after theater, and everyone's talking at our table, and there's a little kind of disruption, a little energy coming, and I looked over, and it's Al Pacino.
Really?
Yeah, looked right at me. I turned to tell everyone, I said, it's Al Pacino. And I looked back, and he wasn't there. So I think I scared him away.
Vampire.
But
he's a vampire.
There was eye contact, that's all I'm saying. And I think maybe perhaps we're going to perform together in a movie.
Is that right?
Isn't that what that means?
That's the best audition ever.
Well, today on our show, we have a gentleman where movies are not a stranger to him. He has been in several films. Television shows. We were talking about it right before we went on the air. So many television shows. And he's been an actor for many, many years. We are not going to run out of things to say. I can promise you that. So he's been an actor, by the way, for 50 years. Seriously. So there's a lot of history there. So we don't want you to go anywhere for more than a minute, because when we come back, you're going to meet Antonio Fargas right here on Talktails.
You know, one of the things I like best about the Vegas Video Network are the people. There are no divas here. Everyone is exactly the same off camera as they are on.
Hey guys, what's cocktail of the week this week?
You know what? I'll let you know what it is when it's time for you to know what it is. Why don't you get off the stage and get back in your production hole? Oh my God. You know what? And tell cheap-ass Whitney to get us some decent brand liquor. This hobo off-ramp crap ain't cutting it. God, idiots.
Totally.
Welcome back to Talktails. My name is Kelly Clinton, and I am so excited. I'm going to meet someone I've admired for so many years, and so are you. This is actor Antonio Fargas. Welcome. Antonio Fargas.
Kelly!
Antonio!
You told me this was the Actors Studio.
Yeah, it is the Actors Studio. Let's turn it into the Actors Studio.
Why not? Why not?
You have, I mentioned right before the break, you have been an actor for over 50 years now.
50 plus.
And someone mentioned earlier that you don't age at all. You've been in the business
You can't see the work. That's why you just can't see it.
That's a good doctor. No, but you've been an actor since you're 14 years old.
14.
And you're from New York City.
New York, born in the Bronx, raised in Manhattan and Chelsea, and this business found me when I was 14, and here I am, 52 years later.
That's unbelievable.
And still talking about it. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Now, your first, when you got into acting in the beginning, it was a lark, right? It was something that your mother saw. You have 11. You're from 11.
She had to find things for us to do. It was 11 of us, and somehow I was considered. I was a lawyer. I guess was sort of like a dysfunctional kind of family, a loving dysfunctional family, but there was a lot of love, but it also there was a lot of. I was the guy who was always looking at things and trying to fix things. I was a fixer.
Yes.
And so they called me the lawyer because my Aunt Gladys called me the lawyer. And it stuck because I could always try to make peace because there was a lot of chaos, loving.
You would
chaos
present all the different cases
from
the brothers and sisters.
Yeah, I would present the cases and all of that. And so somehow my mom thought that I was this. She said also that when I cried as an infant, I sounded like I was singing. And I had this voice. And she said, every time I go back to New York, in fact, I was back there a couple of days along with Clinton. We didn't get a chance to hook up because I was so busy with my family. But still being the lawyer. I'm still being the lawyer. But she just thought, she saw an ad in the newspaper. It was the Amsterdam News, a newspaper in New York coming out of Harlem. And they were casting a film about sort of like West Side Story. It was called The Cool World, about a gang in Harlem and the coming of age of one of the members. And I went down. And through her urging, and they sort of liked what I did with the reading. And I always tell young people when I talk to schools and stuff that it's because I could read well. I had that skill down, that my natural abilities for this escapism, for this wonderful escapism, and this family that I found when I became an actor that just took me in and said, "You're not different. You're just like one of us." Nuts.
Now, but you had never taken any instruction, any acting classes before that audition?
No, before that,
it's amazing.
I was just a voyeur to life, and I was, had all these characters around me, and growing up in New York, and characters in my family, and in fact, I'm from West Indian and Puerto Rican descent, and all of that, and I always thought I played my grandma. Anytime I did a character that had a West Indian accent, I was doing my grandmother, or one of my cousins. So I had so much to draw from that I just loved that I was a character writer. I never wanted to be a leading man, so I was this guy who did all these weird, strange kinds of characters.
So it's just like an innate kind of a natural talent that you had, and your mom. Lucky for you, your mom recognized that.
She opened that door for me. She opened that door for me, and as soon as I got that, it was sort of the renaissance of black theater and the renaissance of finding jobs and things for people to do after the civil rights movement. There was a lot of stuff going on off Broadway, so I started studying right after that. And
now, where did you study when you were that age?
Well,
you were like 14 years old, right?
There was a a Keep the Summers Cool program that President Lyndon Johnson started in Harlem called the Harlem Youth Opportunities Unlimited. And they had a drama department, had a dance department, and somebody from the cool world, the art director, was called upon to find the seed of the drama department, and he brought together a lot of us from the movie to start this theater group, the theater program, and that's what started me. And then I started with teachers from an actor's studio, and it just went on and on. But and then I was also in the beginning of the renaissance of black theater in terms of the Negro Ensemble Company, because there's an actor in New York named Robert Hooks, who eventually, he knocked down the walls of his studio apartment in Chelsea where I lived, and he heard I was around, and he invited me to form this group theater workshop, which is a bunch of young people, and that eventually morphed into the Negro Ensemble Company. So I had all this nurturing, all this study, and all these people who sort of mentored me and brought me along.
These are the angels that set you in motion for a career that's lasted all of these years. We have so many things to talk about. You mentioned the Negro Ensemble Group, and there's several other groups that you were a part of that led to all this success. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, I'm going to talk to Antonio about some of the movies that you might remember him from. There were more than I even remember. And each character unforgettable on Talktails. We'll be back.
Traditional media believes that after about 3 minutes, you'll tune out. Most Vegas media companies think if it doesn't jiggle, you won't tune in. At the Vegas Video Network, we think both are wrong. The Vegas Video Network is the first and only live online broadcast network that specializes in insider news and expert views about Vegas. We combine great storytelling with the ability to watch when and where you want on your computer, mobile device, or television. Discover the real Las Vegas. Visit VegasVideoNetwork.com.
Welcome back to Talktails. Hey, if you want to reach us, you can. Just send us an email. Actually, to the Vegas Video Network, Talktails@VegasVideoNetwork.com, or you can leave us a voicemail. You might even be on the show. Just follow directions on the website and press record. You could be a guest as well. You could also join us right now and ask Antonio or myself a question on live chat. If you don't get to watch the show at 6:30 on Mondays, you could check us out on the Vegas Video Network anytime, or iTunes, YouTube, Roku, or on KSHP 1400 AM every Saturday afternoon at 12. Welcome back, Antonio Fargas.
Talktails is everywhere.
Talktails is everywhere.
Good to be here.
Yeah, you mentioned that you did some radio as well. I don't know about that.
Well,
I studied. I researched.
I think that's where my dreams really started, by listening to the radio, by listening to the music, and listening to, the soap operas that were on the movie in the radio before soap operas were on television. Listening to Amos and Andy, I just became a dreamer, and so I learned so much. In fact, if there's, and this is, I don't know why, but music sort of stays in with me, and I remember at least 3 lines or 3 phrases, I don't know what you call them, for almost every tune that I've probably ever heard. I mean, it's just like this amazing bank of information that's in my head just by listening to the radio. And someone, a choreographer, told me once something that's very profound for me. He said, "We see with our ears and we hear with our eyes." And radio did that for me, And now it made me see by what I heard.
Right. Now you do something, I read something about character rhythm, the character's rhythm. So music is a part of a lot of your developing of a character.
Every character has a rhythm. Every character has a rhythm. He has a secret, or she has a secret. And when we can find the inner rhythm of the character, it's almost like music. The music of the character. When I was doing some plays, and I said, well, August Wilson writes to music. He used to write to music because his music is laced with jazz rhythms in terms of the speech and in terms of the characters, and they come from a pathos, which is why I love singers, because singers can get into the character of every, and the soul of every character that they play. When each song is a different character, so it just gives you an opportunity that you don't have because you're very narrow when you do it one character in one piece or in a play or in a movie. You only have one rhythm, but when you can do many rhythms in a set, and take people on that journey, which is what I love about watching Clint, because he can take you on that inner journey of each character, of each song, and put something on it that's personal. And so those are the kind of fine-tuning that you get after you studied and done this thing for a while. You can sort of talk that language.
Now, did theater come right after this movie that you filmed when you were such a young man? Did you get in? You got into the acting classes, which led to theater.
Yeah, acting classes led to theater because that was the outlet. There was so much going on off Broadway in New York, and there weren't that many opportunities for, which is why they didn't cast this film, the film that did The Cool World, out of the Screen Actors Guild. They had to go around to different neighborhoods because there weren't any roles for black young men in films. It just didn't exist. So being on the ground floor of all of that was certainly an opportunity for me, but there was so much theater going on in terms of the blacks in white America, all the things that reflected the struggle of the civil rights movement and the existentialism and all those things. It was such a thriving place to be close to, to be a part of, and to watch mesmerized in my seat to some of the actors whose shoulders that I stand on today.
Now, you did a play at a Broadway show, with James Earl Jones and some amazing actors, The Great White Hope. You were 24, and how old was the character that you played?
80-something. It's this ancient character. And it's really funny because, we did the play and workshop in Washington, D.C., and had some great people in it, Jane Alexander, Ned Beatty. All these people were in the original production of it, and then we did it on Broadway. And one time I got a call from a TV show. They said they were interested in hiring that wonderful actor who played the old man. And when I walked in as a 24-year-old, of course, I didn't get the part. And then
they were casting you as like a grandpa role.
Right.
Said, you're not that guy.
You're not that guy. You're not supposed to be, playing those old roles. But then there was another situation where, when they did the movie for the film, they hired an older actor to play my role because they didn't want to go there.
Well, I believe that there are thousands of characters that you have played, and I lied to the people earlier because I didn't talk about the movies yet with you, but we have another segment, and we'll talk about some of those great 70s films that you were in, where you played so many different characters, and they all had their own thing that stood out, and you're an amazing actor. We'll be back in a few moments talking more with Antonio Fargas, one of the greatest character actors.
Thank you. This is David Ivey for Pub Crawl. It's funny because it's David from. You should just leave it on. Hi, I'm David Ivey from Pub Crawl, and you're watching the Vegas Video Network. And scene.
Welcome back. We have more conversation. Not enough time to talk to you, Antonio Fargas. Tell us about some of the films that you were in. In the 1970s, there was a little controversy. You worked a lot, but there were some roles that other black actors perhaps didn't want to play, that you were willing to play, and they called that the Blaxploitation.
Well, I think everybody sort of wanted to be in it, but there was certain. We weren't doing what Sidney Poitier was doing, but we were talking about the street and the characters and the people from the hood and all of those characters. And not everybody had the chops to do that. So being sort of close to that and also being a character actor and willing to take those chances, I had an opportunity to play gay roles, to play pimps, to play drug addicts, to do all these characters that were not attainable by the so-called leading men kind of situation. So I was able to carve out a niche for myself, and and bring something that that the directors couldn't sort of couldn't teach. I mean, or they couldn't say, well, we needed the guy to be able to come to do that. And instead of going out there in the street and hiring a real person, which is what reality TV show is about today. Right. In reality movies, they go and get the real person and they make them into an actor. But trying to represent those lives out there to the best of my ability, and I gained a reputation about being able to pinpoint the heart of the character, the soul of the character.
You said it's about the inside, not what's on the outside.
Yeah. And you know, so because you can look at something on the outside, but if you have to care about that person, and if the actor doesn't care about the character, it shows. You have to really. This is a deal where we have to love what we do. We have to love, you know, playing and giving dignity and respect to every strata of life that we might encounter on the stage or in film. So those films, Blaxploitation, that was a sort of a period that we went through, which was also morphed into commercial television and so forth. And
what are some of the movies that you were in?
Well, there was Car Wash.
Love that movie.
You know, I think it was one of the first movies that had its actual soundtrack, a modern day soundtrack that you know that sold a lot of records, sold a lot of LPs and all of that.
And your character in that movie was?
Yeah, Lindy, yeah. I'm more man than you'll ever be and more woman than you'll ever get.
I watched a few clips and said, I do not see Antonio in there at all, in that woman. What else?
And Cross 110th Street.
Cross 110th Street.
Cross 110th Street, and the person who directed that, his name was Barry Shear. He directed the pilot for Starsky and Hutch, and so he gave me the job in Starsky and Hutch. But that was one. Cross 110th Street. Cleopatra Jones.
Wow.
Foxy Brown with Pam Grier. I mean, that was everybody's heart used to stop when Pam walked in the room.
Yeah. She made me do sit-ups.
She made 2 entrances.
Yeah, really.
I love it.
A live chat question. Antonio, I hate to interrupt you. Who someone's on the line wants to ask a question.
Do we? We do. but the 2 entrances was the best line of the day so far.
He can't even think right.
Bill wants to know, are there any funny stories from the Starsky and Hutch set?
Oh, well, you know, people used to think we had so much fun. We loved what we did, but at the same time, it was really, really tough work to do that. I mean, we were trying to make a movie in 7 days, and that's really tough when you try to do an hour show, but really it's only 48 minutes of film because it's 12 minutes of commercials. But in 7 days to do a movie, whereas it would take 2 months, so it was very high pressure. But there were funny moments. In fact, the thing that I love about this business is off stage. I love, you know, getting the makeup room and the jokes that we have and
camaraderie.
All that, the camaraderie and that family feeling. You know, even if we fought amongst the family and fighting to get a good show and you know, arguments and all that, but it was about the love of what we were trying to do
art.
And the art of it. So the last show, they had these sprinklers went off. And boom, you know, and they were supposed to be the last show, and Starsky was in bed, and the sprinklers went off, and everybody was wet, and we laughed and all that. And then there was one time where I was doing a line, and they kept going, and we just started laughing, and they couldn't stop laughing. We did take after take after take.
You know what, Antonio? We're going to have to do another show because we're running out of time. We want to thank you for being our guest. Can we hear a little car wash? Thank you, Antonio Fargas. I'm Kelly Clinton Holmes. Can we do a little car wash? Yeah. You might not ever get rich. But let me tell you, it's better than digging a ditch. There ain't no telling who you might meet. A movie star, or maybe even a Indian chief at the car wash. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Looking at the car wash, yeah. Come on, y'all, let's sing it now. Car wash. Ooh, woo. Car wash, yeah. Want to work? work and work.
Bueno.
Good. Well, yeah, we talk just a little bit. We'll talk about the movies a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
All right. After the show, are we back?
We are back.
We're back. Antonio, not enough time. We need an hour or two or three or four, a couple of days.
Yeah, no, I didn't even get to talk about the guy who made a big impact in my life and the father of a brilliant, brilliant actor, and that's Robert Downey Sr.
Yes.
And I did 2 films with Robert Downey Sr., who's Robert Downey Jr.'s dad,
Yes.
of course. And I did a film called Putney Swope, which is this bizarre kind of film about a New York ad agency taken over by some rogue black men.
Uh-huh.
And then I did a film with him called The Pound, where I played an overage greyhound getting ready to be euthanized.
Wait a minute.
It was very strange things going on in New York at
That's
the
some
time.
serious makeup work.
Yeah, oh yeah. And I was doing that film while I was moonlighting doing that film when I was doing The Great White Hope.
I read
yeah,
that.
yeah, it's
How
great
did you keep? I mean, the stamina. You must have just.
Listen,
been
you know,
great.
when you're that young and naive and so hungry,
Yep.
you'll do anything, and which is what now today I realize how much it takes to do a play or to do what you guys do, or for me now to do a Broadway play would be really, really taxing. You got to be in shape. You got to take care of your body. You
and
gotta
physically, right?
And it's a little bit tougher as you get older, but you also learn how to economize.
Right.
And when you see the great ones who are still doing it today, they are just, they're like butter.
They're like butter, like Kenny Davidson.
We got a question from the live chat,
I stole his
too.
bow tie.
Yeah, we have a bow tie fest going on here
right.
today. And I think the live chat question is from a gentleman with a bow tie
Much
as
more
well.
casual, by the way. You'll note if you go to camera 1 real quick, we're missing one set piece over there.
Yeah, so I noticed that, yes.
It's good to be the boss.
The Jack Daniels has left the set, but not the show.
Very
But
capable hands.
Yeah,
Right, at some point, direction must be taking place, and I'm directing the booze over here. Fly Girl wants to know, do you feel like you've ever missed out on a role because of the Huggy Bear gig?
Good question,
You know,
Fly Girl.
there's probably a lot that I missed out on because, in fact, I was up for, was it Law and Order? Mm-hmm. Law and Order. And I didn't get the role because they said I was too recognizable, which is like kind of nutty. I thought that's why, you do roles because people can say.
That's why they brought you in.
So, so you never ask your agent why I didn't get the role. But
Too darn successful.
But,
can't have you.
If I can look back and say, you know what, if I missed a couple and I have all that I've gotten, then it wasn't for me.
How long was that gig on Starsky and Hutch?
Just 4 years. And then we didn't get a chance to talk about the 4 years on Everybody Hates Chris. And
Yes, Everybody Hates Chris.
I mean, that's sort of recent history. And
Now, how did you get that role? I mean, were you called for it? Did you set out to get it?
No, I got a lot of roles. I got a lot of roles from Will Smith. I got a lot of roles from Martin. I also got a lot of roles from people like Chris Rock who remember whose shoulders they stand on.
That's right.
And it's them saying, hey, thank you, Antonio, for what you gave me.
Pay it forward.
And being part of that. So that's how I got a lot of the stuff that's right now. And I'm sort of on a thank you tour as I finish up my 52nd year because I'm being honored in LA for the Caribbean Heritage Award and all these things that happen after you've been on the road for a long time and you can just say thank you and get a chance to work and and watch you and Clint and just sometimes you're so gracious enough to say and Antonio Fargas is here and that's just so it's humbling. It's really humbling and so
I
cool.
love the opportunity to have you on the show and get into some of the other things because a lot of times we have to throw Huggy Bear in there and they don't
That's
know
the
about
hook.
The hook.
That's the hook.
And then you've done a theater in London. You travel all the time. You just got back from St. Louis, right?
Louis,
A couple of weeks ago from doing a
August
piece,
Wilson play, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. And it took a while to, and also I remember there was a time when I was one of the most important people, blacks on television in the 70s. And there was a time they were casting Roots, and I didn't get a job on Roots. That's one of the roles that I missed. And, and I think that's sort of my claim to fame. And then my other claim to fame is that I wasn't.
What did you audition for on Roots?
Did you audition?
I don't
for
even
Roots?
remember. I just wasn't called in. I just wasn't called in. But I was called in to meet with the guys when we did the Starsky and Hutch remake. And I wasn't in that one too. So I was conspicuously missed. That was like so cool because everybody said, "Well, where's Antonio? Where's Antonio?" So sometimes you don't even have to be there to make an impact. And
we know
that's when you keep things in perspective.
Yeah, we can't imagine
Let's fix
that
it.
role.
We can fix it.
Yes. Do we have another live chat question?
I was going to ask if he does he still stay connected with the younger acting community? Does he provide any kind of guidance?
Wow.
They reach out to him. Is there anything like that?
Well, that's part of what I'm doing when I'm trying to find my place in this community and be supportive of the artists here, not only of the great ones, who have humility and like Clint and Kelly and this wonderful evening, that you host and all the work you do, but I also work with the Las Vegas Arts Center, and I talk to young people, and I teach acting whenever I'm called for. I try to show up, and because I think acting is a great metaphor for giving young people life skills, because I really feel that I have a technique, it's called surviving life through acting. And so young people can survive the slings and the arrows of life if they know that this is an act. This is the greatest production. Life is a rehearsal, a real thing. So.
Yeah, and you're teaching them discipline.
Yeah,
and,
discipline and all those things.
All of that, being on time, memorization.
Right. And Huggy Bear and Everybody Hates Chris is the hook. I guess I've had something for every sort of generation that people can say, "Oh yeah, I know you." There's nowhere I can go in the world without somebody saying, "But you should be older." You never age. So
and you have more to do.
Stuff.
You have
and I have so much more to do, and it's just grateful. I love being in Las Vegas, my new home.
How long have you lived here in Las Vegas?
This July will be 7 years.
Wow. We're so lucky to have you.
Just slowly getting into it and loving every minute of it.
Do we have another live question?
Yeah, one last question before we wrap up today. Just with regards to David Soul, is that his real hair?
We have to. You can't tell if it is or isn't. You're not allowed to tell him.
I won't tell.
But if you tell him, you'll have to kill him.
But he was I love the fact that he was a singer as well. He was really having that hit, Don't Give Up on Us Baby, and the other ones that he had at the beginning of Starsky and Hutch. And he's a great performer.
Before Starsky and Hutch, right?
Yeah.
He performed as a singer for
and
many
he's a
years.
great actor. And I remember also working with people don't get their recognition. Even Don Johnson, I did a Miami Vice with him, and he is a really, really great camera, movie star, quality kind of guy.
Can I have one more question before we go? One more question from my friend Jerry Jones. Brought this up last night. Theater in London, the West End Theater, as opposed to theater in New York. Is it a different process? Is it the discipline different, or is it basically the process for you is the same and the other actors and technically?
They're both meccas. They're both meccas of different styles. It's been said that American actors bring a reality to Shakespeare or classical acting that the English can't touch, and so, and both of those places are meccas. New York is a mecca of theater, and London is a mecca of theater, and my hat's off to both sides, and to be able to have the ability and the opportunity to work on both sides and to experience that, and the camaraderie and family and connection that we have with English actors. How many people know that House is an English actor with an accent?
Not until he does an interview.
Right, not until he does an interview. And that's so we can assimilate. When I heard, when listening to the Rolling Stones and people who came over here and and just adapted our language, And then when they, in their natural tones
Yes.
and their natural rhythms, there was just a different thing.
Well, hopefully we'll get to have Antonio Fargas here at the Smith Center in the theater there, and we'll get to experience it right here in your town.
And I can also go to bootleggers and work it out.
I think we should go right now to the bootlegger.
Let's get over there.
Because I'm on in about 20 minutes. So
and I have dinner waiting over there.
And he has dinner waiting there. Thank you, Antonio.
Thank you,
I love
Kelly.
you,
Love
Sandy,
you.
and your son.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time on Talktails. Thank you, Kenny Davidson.